Hi everybody, I'm Snizzy Poo. Welcome back. Recently, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has been in the news for rescinding the Cole Memo, which gives federal law enforcement agencies and federal prosecutors guidance on how to enforce federal laws concerning states which have legalized marijuana.
And Attorney General Jeff Sessions on Thursday rescinded, this is according to CNN, a trio of memos from the Obama administration that had adopted a policy of non-interference with marijuana-friendly state laws. So there's something called the Cole Rule, okay? Under the Cole Rule, it basically said, Jim Cole was the former Deputy Attorney General. The whole idea here was that the Justice Department was going to let the states do what they wanted to do. It was sort of the equivalent of DACA. So if you remember, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program was Obama saying, I'm going to use my prosecutorial discretion to instruct the DOJ not to actually prosecute cases for the so-called dreamers. That's what DACA was, the executive amnesty. Well, the Cole Rule was basically the same thing for pot distribution. So the move now from Jeff Sessions essentially shifts federal policy from the hands-off approach adopted under the previous administration to unleashing federal prosecutors across the country to decide individually how to prioritize resources to crack down on pot possession, distribution, and cultivation of the drug in states where it is legal.
Yeah, so I just think this is a great opportunity to separate the differences between libertarian thought and your normal basic bitch conservatism. So even though Ben thinks that locking people up for smoking a plant is wrong, he still is in favor of the state enforcing its laws because he's a bootlicking, dirty statist.
Let's rock.
So while many states have decriminalized or legalized marijuana use, here in California they've decriminalized marijuana use, that has obviously made California just a more wonderful place to live. It was already wonderful, and now it just made it a more wonderful place to live so that everybody on the streets is smoking pot, and the homeless people who live right outside your house can now get high in their spare time.
This is a kind of a funny deal because Ben Sharpio has no idea what the fuck he's talking about here. Ben, do you think that it's easier to find pot now that it's been legalized for recreational use? I mean, just forget the fact that it's been de facto legal. I mean, come on. It's been legal for medical use for so long, and you could basically get a subscription from a doctor for like a headache. Everybody knows this. It's been that way for forever. Nothing, as far as people using it recreationally, nothing is going to change that way. Even if it was illegal medically and now is legal for recreational use, it still doesn't change anything. If you want to smoke pot, you can find pot. It's fucking everywhere. Homeless people are not going to be able to smoke pot more so now than they could before. And I don't even know if you actually believe this. I think this is just a jab at, pot smokers, if you will. I mean, if you look at the statistics on pot smoking for the youth, more youth smoke pot in a 30-day span than cigarettes. Yet cigarettes are sold on every corner store in the country. But for some reason, more teenagers smoke pot than smoke cigarettes. So availability, legal availability, doesn't really have an impact here. And really, this is just showing your moral bias on the situation.
As somebody who's in favor of individual sovereignty and your capacity to make your own decisions as an adult, including stupid decisions without government intervention, I'm in favor of marijuana decriminalization. I'm more split when it comes to harder drugs that are more addictive, things like heroin or things like cocaine. I tend toward legalization even for those drugs, is the truth. But when it comes to things like angel dust or LSD that have actual externalities where it's going to cause you to act in violent ways, it actually changes how you act toward people.
LSD is going to make you act violent. Please, Ben, please stop. You've got to start educating yourself on the topic that you're going to be speaking about before you start speaking about it.
So a bunch of people in Congress are alarmed. Oh no, the DOJ is going to come after us. If that's the case, I have an idea. Change the law. Right, here's why Sessions is actually correct. So Sessions is correct. Even if you agree with decriminalization of marijuana, as I do, Sessions is not wrong. The reason Sessions is not wrong is that we have something called the executive branch. The executive branch's job is to, as you may have guessed, execute. It is their job to execute the law. It is not their job to rewrite the law at will. It is not the job of the federal executive branch to simply decide, as Obama did, that we're not going to prosecute entire classes of crime because I don't like the law.
Now we get down to the nitty-gritty. I find this argument at first glance to be pretty persuasive. However, if you dig a little deeper, you will find that these Attorney General memorandums are very common. A quick Google search will show you that there's memorandums running around all over the place. And as it turns out, the federal government has so many laws on the books that it can't actually prosecute or enforce all of them equally. So what attorney generals have done in the past, and continue to do, is decide exactly what direction the executive branch wants to go as far as how it enforces federal law. So if you want to make this argument, well, fine, but be consistent about it. Let's get rid of all memorandums written by the previous attorney generals, the ones that are still on the books, still being used to this day. I think in doing so, you will find that the federal government actually doesn't have enough resources, and so it's going to have to grow exponentially in order to effectively enforce all of its laws equally. But let's think about this in a different way. What if Congress passed a law stating that all Jews were to be rounded up and put into concentration camps? Would Ben Sharpio be in favor of the Attorney General making a memo stating that they were not going to actually enforce this law? And I'm pretty sure, in the face of being persecuted, Ben Sharpio would say, well, yeah, I'm actually in favor of, in this case, the state not enforcing its laws. And really, this comes down to a bigger point here. I think that you will find the people that are in favor of what Jeff Sessions has done are not actual hardline constitutionalists, which I don't think anybody really is, but those who will not be prosecuted or persecuted by this action and also think smoking pot is stupid. Even Ben Sharpio here will say, well, I think that they should change the law. People should be allowed to do it. But, the state has to enforce this law. It has to be authoritarian. Because I need it to be authoritarian when I want stuff done that I like. And this really shows where libertarians and conservatives part ways. Because to a libertarian, we don't really care where or how the state limits itself. The whole point is liberty. While the conservative really wants the state to hold on to its power, even if it's being used in a way that they feel is morally abhorrent, because the conservative wishes to control the state so that they can use its power when and if they get in control of it. Now, here's my thoughts on the Constitution. Be whether the Constitution really be one thing or another, this much is certain. That is, either authorize such a government as we have had, or it has been powerless to prevent it. In either case, it is unfit to exist. I'm Snizzy Poo. Please like and subscribe to my channel. If you like this material, you can check me out also on BitChute and Minds. And I'll see you next time.